Welcome to this introductory video on PESTLE. This is an acronym that we use when we talk about external influences on business. It's really important to remember as we go through this that we are talking about influences that are external or from outside of the business itself. We will talk about the influences on a business from within in another video. So PESTLE stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. These are all factors from outside of the business itself that can affect how well it operates, how much money it's able to take, the people it's able to attract as customers and of course as staff, and all the ways in which that business can operate and succeed or otherwise. Okay, so let's look at these a little bit in turn. Political. Obviously, politics are going to affect everything that we do in society. As we know at the moment, the government have laid down a lot of restrictions about what businesses can do. During the height of the coronavirus, for example, they stopped some businesses operating at all. In fact, some still are not open. We've got cinemas and the like that are still not operating now as they were before. The government sets the taxes, but they can also support business. You may have heard of the Eat Out to Help Out scheme. In that case, the government are putting money in and they've come up with this program to encourage people to use businesses so that those businesses don't go out, don't lose their business. And of course, that's important to the economy as a whole. So that politics feeds into economic factors related to politics. But specifically, this is about money. This is about what interest rates the banks are charging. How much does it cost a business to borrow money if they need to? What is our GDP, the gross domestic product? How much money are people in the country earning? And that links again into our disposable income, which is how much we have to spend after we've paid for our essentials, like rent, for example, and all of those sorts of bills. How much money do consumers have to spend? If they don't have any money, they're not going to be spending it at your business. Exchange rates, again, will affect how much money your business can take, as a lot of businesses now operate internationally. So when the pound is weak, that does mean the income is worth less in comparison to another currency. And tax we mentioned before, but I've just put it in there too, because of course it is about economics. It is about the money that we're able to take. If a business is paying lots of tax, that will affect their bottom line, just as if individuals who are working are paying a high level of income tax, they will have less disposable income, and that in turn will affect businesses. Okay, let's move on now. So social factors will also affect how well a business can do. Things like demographics. How is the society made up? Is your business in an area where there are lots of very wealthy people or not so much? Are there a lot of young people or older people? Is there a particular racial slant to the local population? Are there a lot of white British people? Are there a lot of Muslims? Are there a lot of Chinese people? Whatever. That might affect the fashions and the tastes in that area, and therefore what kind of products people are looking to buy or what kind of services they're likely to use. Okay. There are also seasonal factors. This isn't something that you always see in the textbooks, but it is important. We know, for example, that retail in this country will take a huge proportion of their income in the lead up to Christmas. and lots of other festivals as well becoming more important. You're going to sell lots of fireworks just before the 5th of November, in the middle of July, maybe not so much. So those things do also make a difference. And of course, the lifestyle and the demographics of the local population will affect how much each of these actually do make a difference to what people are buying from you. Things like lifestyle. More and more people, for example, are becoming concerned with recycling. So recyclable packaging has become more important to business. Things like religions have an impact too. If you set up shop, for example, in a country that doesn't allow the sale of alcohol because of the religion, well, you're not going to do very well if you start trying to sell wine. Those sort of things might seem very obvious, but it's something that you're going to need to mention when you're writing your essays about this, because it is an important factor. And of course, there's also those other things that can happen in society. What if, for example, there was to be a worldwide fatal virus? How would that affect business? Well, that's something that we're all finding out at the moment, isn't it? We've already seen some businesses lose their business altogether. We've already seen lots of other businesses really suffer as a result of having to shut down for an amount of time, or as a result of having less custom because people are staying away. What the long-term effects of this are going to be, we don't yet know, but we can suppose that there will be long-term effects of businesses having lost so much trade, so much money. And well, we'll watch and see as we go on through the course. We'll also watch and see what is happening in society and how that's affecting businesses. Technology also really, really important. And again, linking into that last point, so many more people now are working online. There's a much higher use of things like Zoom, things like office meeting technology. People are doing their jobs in a different way. How does that affect business? Well, it might mean lower costs for some businesses that don't have to supply office space, but it's going to affect things like rail companies, perhaps in a less beneficial way. If people are not travelling to work, that will mean less custom for them. Okay? And also, of course, we have to remember that it's not just at the front end of the business that technology is used. Increasingly, products are manufactured by robotics, things like digital printing, all of those kind of things change the way in which things are made. And as they happen more and more, people's expectations change also. Legal is the next part, and I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail because this is something that we look at in another topic, but it is worth remembering that the law will obviously have a profound effect on how you can run your business. So employment law will apply to things like how many hours your staff can work, what they can do, how much you can pay them. There'll be restrictions maybe on some products like things like knives, things like alcohol, things like fireworks, which we mentioned, can only be sold if the customer is above a certain age. We have to comply with business and financial law, with copyrights, which you all know about. Advertising, again, there are laws that make sure that advertising is true, it's fair, it's not offensive to anybody. And health and safety, again, is a whole other topic on its own. But for now, just remember that the law does cover the health and safety of your business, your premises, your employees, and your customers. So environmental is our final letter of PESTLE. This is the E. Again, a concern that becomes more and more important in our modern world businesses need to look at things like their carbon footprint, like how they source their materials. Is it fair trade? How is it made? Where does it come from? If we're fishing, for example, or farming, is that sustainable? Are we using recycled materials? Is our packaging recyclable? Are we using more packaging than we should? All of those are environmental issues. And sometimes people add another E on the end, which is ethics. Now, from my point of view, really this is contained within the others, but we can have it as a separate topic. And if you write this as a separate topic in your assignments, that's going to be fine. So things like, you're going to keep the law, you're going to look after your staff well, you're going to look after your customers well, you won't lie, you will treat the environment in a good way. It could be a way of just checking, but you haven't missed anything in the other groups in actual fact. It's up to you whether you choose to use this as a separate topic or to include the ethical concerns within the others. Okay, so just to summarise, PESTLE is an acronym which we use to describe the external influences on a business. We've looked at political, economic, social, technological, legal, environmental influences. That is PESTLE. We've said that it's also really important to remember ethics to make sure that we're doing our business in an ethical way. And again, this will be something that we'll cover in quite some detail at another stage. One other point that I just want to make clear is that these factors don't operate in isolation from each other. They really do work together. There may be overlaps. So for example, when we spoke about the tax, how the tax is set is political, but it obviously has an economic effect as well, and there will be a legal aspect to that also. So all of these things will interact and work together. It is a model. It is just one way of looking at how these things operate, how they affect our business. But it is a useful model that I hope will help you, and it's certainly a really good framework for an essay. So thank you for watching. I hope that was helpful. If it was, please subscribe. Have a look at my resources on tests as well if you're a teacher and you're looking for some extra help.